All right, guys, welcome back. So today what I want to do is I really wanted to share something with you that I wish I knew before I embarked on my transformational journey with food. For years, or like over 10 years, did I struggle with all the diets and all the coaches and I did all the supplements only for none of it to work, okay? And so hopefully if you guys have read my story, when it comes to food, it has been quite the journey for me. It's super embarrassing, but I've just come a long ways. And I tried everything to break out of my obsession with food controlling my life. And no matter what I did, nothing worked. And I still found myself, no matter what I did, I found myself living every single day just repeating the same habits and repeating the same obsession and not being able to really break away from the thing that was keeping me stuck. And, it became a point where I just assumed that's just the way I was always going to be. And I think that if someone would have told me, what I'm about to share with you before I started my transformation, then I would have gotten, to where I am today a lot faster, which is why I'm sharing it with you. Okay. So believe it or not, the battle that you guys are up against is not against food. What you're up against is the mind. You're up against the patterns and the habits and your way of being, that currently your personality. Okay. And so when it comes to transformational work, the mind is going to work either for you or it's going to work against you, okay, at any point in time. And in the beginning, it's going to work against you really hard. It's going to either be your biggest enemy or it's going to be your biggest ally, okay? And, it's going to be dependent on who you choose to feed. And so what you need to understand is that, before we get started, is that the mind is hardwired to avoid change. Okay. It's hardwired to avoid the unknown. And it's hardwired to continue doing what it's familiar with. Okay. And thinking the same way, being the same way, doing the same actions, despite us knowing that this is something that is causing so much pain and suffering, and we want nothing more but to get out of it and to break free from the habits. But the mind is going to literally do everything it can to keep you where you've been, okay? Our psyche is going to work against us in the beginning, okay? It's going to work against us with making actual transformation happen because it, again, wants to maintain what it's used to, what it's been up to. It wants to maintain status quo, or in other words, what it thinks is normal. And so it wants to live and eat the way that we've always done it, because when it does what it's used to, that means it's survival. Our mind is not as advanced as we think it is, right? It's very ancient in the way that it was designed, and so it thinks that, hey, if I made it through today, then if I just repeat exactly what I did yesterday, then I'm going to make it through tomorrow, or today or whatever. Okay. And so the mind is not designed to help us thrive and break out of routines. It's designed to keep you there, and it's going to do everything it can, and it's going to do it sneakily to keep you there. So we can't do anything about how the mind is designed, but what we can do is we can get it to know a different normal, right? This is where the training is going to come into play and where the repetition is going to be huge. We have to teach and train the brain to know a new normal, a new way of being, a new version of ourselves, a new personality. We must reinvent ourselves, okay? And so I refer to it as, my old self. I literally had to reinvent my personality. So I see my old self as Natalie 1.0, right? Natalie 1.0 was a girl that was out of control, right? The food just ran her life. She was hopeless. She was an obsessive calorie counter. She said things like, I have to track my macros. She also thought, I have to eat it all, right? Because there's not enough. Who knows if there's going to be any later. I was afraid of food. I said, I can't eat that. This is off limits. That's on limits. I ate as soon as I was stressed. I was running to the pantry. I saw food as very limited. Like there was just never enough, and I had to lick my plate clean. And I was just really disconnected with my hunger and my fullness. Like I didn't know when I was hungry or when I was full. I just sort of ate. And a lot of times I didn't stop eating. And so that was Natalie 1.0. Natalie 2.0, who I am today, now I never think about food. I've trained myself to do that though. I eat when I'm hungry. I've trained myself to know what hunger feels like. I've trained myself to stop when full. I'm somebody that loves going to restaurants now and I'm not afraid of them. I don't restrict food. Everything is off limits. And if I'm hungry, I eat it. And I see food as being abundant. So I train myself to literally leave food on my plate. I train myself to not finish the bag because I wanted to train an abundant mindset. So all of this was training, but in order for me to at least, to know the extraordinary life and relationship with food that I have now. Okay. And so it came with repetition. Okay. And in the beginning, it was not easy. It was very difficult, and the mind really held me back. Okay. And it felt impossible basically because Natalie 1.0 was so dominant and Natalie 2.0 just felt like it was so far away. And in the middle of my journey, I felt like I had two different personalities, and that's how you're going to feel as well. You're going to feel like you have two different personalities, each one trying to fight for your attention. Natalie 1.0, or your version 1.0 of yourself will try to kick and scream and claw, to maintain status quo and to keep you in the same habits and patterns that are creating the life that you don't want. Okay. And in the beginning, it's going to feel, like I said, the mind is going to sneakily try to keep you in your same emotional patterns, okay? Your ways of thinking and the same actions that you've always been, you're used to. This is why people are not good at change, because they listen to the 1.0 version of themselves, the thing that's holding them in place. And, what I've learned is I've studied and practiced, what truly motivates people to make that radical transformation, to step into the 2.0 version of themselves. And what I've realized is that there's a moment in time where that person has to get to a point where they just say no more, right? I'm no longer willing to tolerate this. This way of being, this way of living that I'm in right now. For some people, it's pain that they just can't bear anymore. And they're desperate to change, and to know a better life for themselves. For others, it's inspiration to change because they see others living the life that they want and they're inspired to create that for themselves. But yet, even though all the tools can be there for them, the pain is there to motivate them in the right direction, they know they can do it, there are still so many people that still struggle to make that change. And rather than committing to version 2.0 of themselves, of committing to what's possible for them, there's this commitment made to version 1.0 of themselves. It's an impulse that to keep living the same way and doing the same things they've always done, to keep thinking the same ways they've always thought. And for whatever reason, there's this force, this literal force that holds us back to staying exactly where we are, okay? And so what I want you to do is ask yourself this question: why have I not yet motivated myself to take that action into the 2.0 version of myself? To create that peace around food, that freedom with food, that person with the habits that I want. Why have I not made that transition? Okay. And sincerely, why have I not sincerely committed to that person and the life I want? Because the one person that knows that answer is going to be you. Okay. And then what I want you to ask next is the more important question. So rather than the question of why have I not made that transition, why have I not stepped into 2.0 version of yourself, the next question is, why is today going to be the day that you do? Your job in this course is to not listen to 1.0, okay? Is to not listen to 1.0 version of yourself. Your job is to surrender yourself, surrender 1.0, and surrender into the 2.0 version of yourself. That's what this course is going to be all about. It's going to teach you how to do that. In the end, the person you become is going to be the one that you choose to listen to the most. I will teach you how, but you need to be the one that shuts up that version 1.0 of yourself and listen and step into 2.0 version. The question is, who will you choose to listen to in exchange to know a better life for yourself? So before I let you guys go, I want to leave you with just a little bit of inspiration. I want to start our training right now, okay? And so what I want you guys to do is just close your eyes for a second and just simply think about the life that you'd like to create for yourself. And just start to put a picture in your mind. What would that dream life look like to me? What would my body look like? What would my body feel like? What things would I do if I knew that nothing could hold me back? If I knew that nothing could stop me? What would be that life you just were so excited to wake up for that you couldn't wait to wake up for? What is that inner whisper? Maybe in the past, you've been too afraid to listen to it, to take action towards it. But starting right now, I want you to listen to that inner whisper. And I want you to continue to focus on it until it becomes so intense and so unbearable that you have to move towards it, that it becomes a roar. Through this course, it will start as a whisper, but by the end, it will become a roar. And I invite you to make this day the day that you commit the life that you know somewhere inside you is possible. Maybe it's a whisper, maybe it's a roar. Whatever it is right now, say yes to it. I can promise you, you won't be disappointed when you step into that 2.0 version of yourself. Simply all you must do is say yes and have the courage to step out of your current comfort zone, your current paradigm, your current 1.0 version of yourself, and be willing to explore another paradigm. Be willing to step into 2.0 version. Just by being here now with me, know that you are already stepping into that version of yourself. And I can't be more excited to see what you're going to create. Great work, guys. That's it for today. I'll see you guys in the next video.